Somewhere right now, someone is sitting in a church service. The music is incredible. The lights are perfectly dimmed. The pastor is charismatic, funny, and completely engaging. The crowd is huge, but quietly in the back of that person's mind, one single question is burning. It's a whisper, but they can't shake it. Is this it? Is this actually the real thing? Or am I just caught up in a really good show? If you've ever sat in a pew or a theater chair on a Sunday morning and felt that sudden unsettling chill of doubt, you aren't alone. Because deep down, we all know the stakes are too high to just guess.
If any man will do his will, he shall know of the doctrine, whether it be of God, or whether I speak of myself. John, chapter 7, verse 17.
That's Jesus speaking. And with those words, he just handed you the master key. He didn't say you'd know the true church by the size of the parking lot, not by the beauty of the stained glass, or how modern the stage looks, not even by how good the sermon makes you feel about yourself. He said, the doctrine. What is actually being taught from the pulpit when the music stops? But here's the problem we face today. Right now, across the globe, there are thousands of different denominations and independent groups. They are all holding the exact same book, the Bible. Yet they are violently disagreeing on what it actually means. One church tells you that you have to do X, Y, and Z to be saved. The church down the street tells you that if you do those exact same things, you're going to hell. It's exhausting, and frankly, it drives people away from God entirely. But today, we're not guessing anymore. We're not relying on pastoral charisma, and we aren't relying on tradition. We are testing. By the end of this two-part series, you are going to walk away with a definitive, unshakable checklist, 5 specific theological counterfeits, and 2 structural clues that you can check right now in any church to instantly know if it lines up with Scripture or if it's an imitation. Let's start with the first counterfeit. And honestly, this one is probably the single most popular, widely accepted teaching in modern Christianity. It's the idea that you are saved by faith alone, full stop, and absolutely nothing you do after that moment matters. It sounds beautiful, doesn't it? It's comfortable. You raise your hand at the end of a service, you say a quick prayer, and boom, your fire insurance is paid in full. You can go out into the world, live exactly how you want, treat people however you like, and your eternal destiny is completely secure because of a 30-second decision you made a decade ago. But does that match the text?
But wilt thou know, O vain man, that faith without works is dead? James, chapter 2, verse 20.
Let's be absolutely clear here. Faith is the starting line. Nobody is arguing that away. You cannot earn your way to heaven by doing good deeds like you're racking up frequent flyer miles. Salvation is a gift, but a gift must be lived out. The full picture of Scripture consistently states that God will judge every single person according to their works, not just the microsecond they said, I believe, at a youth camp or a revival. Think about it logically. True faith transforms a person. If a branch is connected to a vine, it naturally produces fruit. If a church tells you that you can possess saving faith while producing absolutely zero spiritual fruit, they aren't teaching Scripture. They're teaching spiritual laziness, a doctrine that completely removes your personal responsibility for the rest of your life on earth should make you deeply nervous. So here is your first diagnostic question to sit with. If a church tells you that nothing you do after salvation matters, what exactly are they removing from the Bible to make that statement true? Which leads us straight into counterfeit number 2. It's the theological twin of the first one. Once saved, always saved. This is the comforting teaching that the moment you genuinely accept Christ, absolutely nothing, no sin you commit, no lifestyle you choose, not even completely walking away from the faith later in life, can ever undo your salvation. It's an absolute guarantee with no strings attached. But look at the warnings scattered across the New Testament. Look at what Jesus actually says when describing the difficult times ahead for his followers.
But he that shall endure unto the end, the same shall be saved. Matthew chapter 24, verse 13.
Endure. That single word is doing heavy lifting in that sentence. If salvation was an automated, unforfeitable contract that could never be lost under any circumstance, there would be absolutely no logical reason For that warning to exist, why tell someone to endure if the outcome is mechanically guaranteed, regardless of whether they endure or not? The New Testament isn't a relaxed cruise ship. It's a rigorous journey. It is filled with urgent and desperate calls to keep walking, keep enduring, keep fighting the good fight, and keep obeying. Those aren't polite suggestions meant to maximize your rewards in heaven. Those are the baseline conditions of being a disciple. When a church edits out the necessity of perseverance, they aren't offering you grace. They're offering you a false sense of security. Now, let's pivot from abstract theological ideas into concrete physical practices. Because it's not just what a church teaches in theory on a website's statement of faith page. It's what they actually do with their bodies on a Sunday morning that gives them away. Let's talk about prayer. For millions of people, prayer inside a church looks like reciting specific, pre-written formulas over and over again, sometimes tracking those prayers with physical objects. But let's look at the instruction manual.
But when ye pray, use not vain repetitions, as the heathen do, for they think that they shall be heard for their much speaking. Matthew chapter 6, verse 7.
Jesus said that himself, directly, point blank. If a prayer consists of the exact same fixed words, counted out on beads, repeated by rote memory 10, 20, or 50 times in a row, that is the exact pagan practice he explicitly warned his followers against. Why? Because prayer isn't a magical incantation. It's not a spiritual script you read to manipulate God into listening to you because of your much speaking. Prayer is supposed to be a conscious, heartfelt conversation between a child and their father. Here's the hard question that naturally follows. If Jesus named this specific practice, isolated it, and explicitly told us not to do it, why is it still one of the most widely defended forms of prayer in major Christian traditions today? Counterfeit number 3 takes us even deeper into the visual environment of the church. Walk into many churches around the world, and you will see stunning statues, intricate icons, and beautifully carved figures. You will see people lighting candles before them, bowing their heads, and kneeling directly in front of them in deep devotion. They will tell you, oh, we aren't worshiping the statue. We are just using the image to help us focus on the spiritual reality behind it. It sounds reasonable to the human mind, but God didn't leave this open to human reasoning.
Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image, or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. Exodus chapter 20, verse 4.
That is not vague. That isn't a poetic metaphor requiring a seminary degree to decode. That is a direct command, spoken from the mouth of God, echoing off a mountain, and carved with his own finger into stone. God knows how the human heart operates. He knows that the moment we create a physical, tangible image to represent the divine, our devotion shifts from the Creator to the creation. If a church's core worship practice requires you to bow, kneel, or direct your prayers toward a physical, man-made object, that ancient command is being broken in real time. So far, we've unmasked the theological and practical shortcuts. We've looked at the faith without works trap, the illusion of unconditional security, the danger of scripted prayers, and the forbidden use of physical images. But we are only halfway through the test. And the next counterfeit is the one that completely catches people off guard. It involves a title, a word used every single day by millions of well-meaning Christians to address their spiritual leaders. A title that Jesus explicitly banned from spiritual use. And more importantly, beyond the doctrines, there is a massive, shocking clues hiding in plain sight that almost nobody checks. It's written on the sign outside the building. It's the actual name of the church itself. What if the very name on the front door of your church is a sign that it's completely disconnected from the New Testament pattern? In Part 2, we are going to look at that exact naming blueprint, expose the final 2 counterfeits, and answer the most terrifying question of all. What do you do if you test your church and realize it's been a counterfeit all along? Click right here to jump straight into Part 2, where we decode the blueprint of the true church. Don't stop testing now. I'll see you there.